Scope and Delimitation. What is scope and delimitation in research? The scope and delimitations of a thesis, dissertation, or research paper define the topic and boundaries of the research problem to be investigated. The scope details how in-depth your study is to explore the research question and the parameters in which it will operate in relation to the population and time frame. The delimitations of a study are the factors and variables not to be included in the investigation. In other words, they are the boundaries the researcher sets in terms of study duration, population size, and type of participants, etc. Difference between delimitations and limitations. Difference between delimitations and limitations. Delimitations refer to the boundaries of the research study, based on the researcher's decision of what to include and what to exclude. They narrow your study to make it more manageable and relevant to what you are trying to prove. Limitations relate to the validity and reliability of the study. They are characteristics of the research design or methodology that are out of your control but influence your research findings. Because of this, they determine the internal and external validity of your study and are considered potential weaknesses. In other words, limitations are what the researcher cannot do, elements outside of their control, and delimitations are what the researcher will not do, elements outside of the boundaries they have set. Both are important because they help to put the research findings into context, and although they explain how the study is limited, they increase the credibility and validity of a research project. Guidelines on how to write a scope. Guidelines on how to write a scope. A good scope statement will answer the following 6 questions. Why? The general aims and objectives, purpose, of the research. What? The subject to be investigated, and the included variables. Where? The location or setting of the study, i.e. where the data will be gathered and to which entity the data will belong. When? The time frame within which the data is to be collected. Who? The subject matter of the study and the population from which they will be selected. This population needs to be large enough to be able to make generalizations. How? How the research is to be conducted, including a description of the research design, e.g. whether it is experimental research, qualitative research, or a case study, methodology, research tools and analysis techniques. How to start writing your study scope. Use the below prompts as an effective way to start writing your scope. This study is to focus on. This study covers the. This study aims to. Guidelines on how to write delimitations. Since the delimitation parameters are within the researcher's control, readers need to know why they were set, what alternative options were available, and why these alternatives were rejected. For example, if you are collecting data that can be derived from 3 different but similar experiments, the reader needs to understand how and why you decided to select the one you have. Your reasons should always be linked back to your research question, as all delimitations should result from trying to make your study more relevant to your scope. Therefore, the scope and delimitations are usually considered together when writing a paper. How to start writing your study delimitations. Use the below prompts as an effective way to start writing your study delimitations. This study does not cover. This study is limited to. The following has been excluded from this study. Examples of delimitations include research objectives, research questions, research variables, target populations, statistical analysis techniques. Examples of limitations include issues with sample and selection, insufficient sample size, population traits, or specific participants for statistical significance, lack of previous research studies on the topic which has allowed for further analysis, limitations in the technology/instruments used to collect your data, limited financial resources and/or funding constraints. For more information about our topic, please watch the video.
So, may limitations kayo ng jowa mo. Okay lang yan. Sa research nga, may limitations din eh. May jowa ka man o wala, kailangan mo to. Ang scope and delimitation of the study. Before we go to our main topic, let's first clarify the difference between limitation and delimitation. Parang sa relasyon lang, kailangan klaro muna. So alamin natin yung pagkakaiba ng limitation sa delimitation. According to IMS blog ng St. Cloud State University, the limitations aim to narrow the scope of the study. These are choices made and boundaries set by the researcher which should be mentioned. Now let's proceed to limitations. Limitations aim to identify the potential weaknesses of the study. These are influences, shortcomings, or conditions that the researcher cannot control. So yung delimitation bilang researcher, sa umpisa pa lang siniset na natin siya. On the other hand, ito namang limitations beyond our control. Ito yung mga bagay na hindi natin inaasahan pero nangyari sa research study natin. Ganyan kasi talaga minsan, no? May mga bagay na beyond your control. Ayaw mo, pero nangyayari pa din.
Ayaw mo, pero nangyayari pa din.
Okay, another thing, saan ba inilalagay si limitations at si delimitations? Parang sa relasyon. Dapat alam mo kung saan ang lugar mo. Okay, so wag malilito at wag pagpapalitin. Si delimitation, nakasulat yan, matatagpuan yan sa chapter 1 or sometimes in the methodology section. Si limitation naman is written and mentioned into the final section of your research paper, usually dun sa results and discussions. Ayan na, malinaw na yan. Yung difference between delimitation and limitation. Sabi nga ni Boy Abunda, di ba? Sa relasyon, walang hulaan. Dapat klaro ang lahat. Okay, so tara na. Punta na tayo sa main topic natin, ang scope of the study. The scope of the study refers to the extent to which the research area will be explored. This part also explains the parameters within which the study will be operating. Para maisulat nyo yung scope of the study, I will provide you with prompts. These are phrases na pwede nyong pansimula ng paragraph nyo. So these prompts are the following. Ayan, gamitin nyo yung mga yan. So at this point, punta naman tayo kay delimitation of the study. Delimitation of the study, this deals with the boundaries of the study. Gaya nga ng sabi natin kanina, it aims to narrow the scope of your study. Ito naman yung mga prompts na pansimula natin sa pagsulat ng paragraph ng delimitation of your research. Ngayon, ang tanong, ano naman ang ilalagay natin o ilalaman natin sa part na ito ng Chapter 1? So, punta na tayo sa pinakamahalaga, yung ilalaman mo o ilalagay mo sa scope and delimitation. So, ito yung mga pwede mong ilagay, yung general purpose ng study mo, yung important details nito. Tapos, ito, napakahalaga, yung population, yung target respondents, ilan sila, yung sample size. And then, mention about the geographical location, saan mo ba i-conduct yung research study mo or taga-saan yung mga respondents mo. So, mention about the setting. At importante din na i-mention mo yung duration, yung research timeline. Anong panahon yung sakop niyang research study mo. May mga ibang researcher na sinasama nila to sa scope and delimitation, yung instrument na ginamit nila or gagamitin nila, yung sampling method, yung research design, tapos even yung financial limitation no, nung study nila ay isinasama nila. However, yung mga binanggit natin kanina, okay na yon. Sila yung talagang mga dapat ilagay o ilaman sa scope and delimitation. Ito na yung pinaka-aabangan nyo, ang sample natin ng scope and delimitation. Si Ma'am Ana hindi madamot kasi ang research paper parang pag-ibig yan. Ibinabahagi, hindi pinagdadamot. Kaya, eto na yung sample natin. Okay, scope and delimitation. Punta muna tayo sa ating research title, Peer Tutoring, Its Effects on Reading Fluency of Senior High School Students. So our scope and delimitation, the study will cover the determination of the effects of peer tutoring to reading fluency. The primary subjects of this research study will consist of the grade 12 students enrolled in academic year 2020-2021. The respondents will be limited to 10 grade 12 students who are in the Hume section of Academic Senior High School of the City of May Kawayan in the Division of May Kawayan, Bulacan. Moreover, the participants will be purposely selected by referring to the record of grades in the English subject, reading and writing. In the pretest, the participants are marked as non-fluent Level 1 readers. On the other hand, the peer tutors will be composed of honor students in the same class. They are the real-life peers of the aforementioned participants. Ayan, ka-schoolers. So, simple lang, di ba? Madali lang ang part na ito ng Chapter 1. So, kung may questions ka pa, comment mo lang sa baba. Tapos, pakijowa naman yung channel natin. Wag puro tingin lang, wag puro views lang. Hit the subscribe button at i-like mo na rin. Okay? So, pakijowa yung channel natin. Wag mo jojowain yung kaklase mo o kaya yung kagrupo mo sa research. Wag muna ganyan. So, magsulat ka muna, tapusin mo muna yung research paper mo bago yan. Okay? So, bye ka-schoolers. Thank you so much. This is Ma'am Ana saying, research muna bago jowa.
What does significance of the study mean? What does significance what what does significance of the study mean? The significance of the study is a written statement that explains why your research was needed. It's a justification of the importance of your work and impact it has on your research field. Its contribution to new knowledge and how others will benefit from it. Why is the significance of the study important? The significance of the study, also known as the rationale of the study, is important to convey to the reader why the research work was important. This may be an academic reviewer assessing your manuscript under peer review, an examiner reading your PhD thesis, a funder reading your grant application, or another research group reading your published journal paper. Your academic writing should make clear to the reader what the significance of the research that you performed was, the contribution you made, and the benefits of it. How do you write the significance of the study? When writing this section, first think about where the gaps in knowledge are in your research field. What are the areas that are poorly understood with little or no previously published literature? Or what topics have others previously published on that still require further work? This is often referred to as the problem statement. The statement of the significance of the study is used by students and researchers in academic writing to convey the importance of the research performed. This section is written at the end of the introduction and should describe the specific contribution made and who it benefits. The introduction section within the significance of the study should include you writing the problem statement and explaining to the reader where the gap in literature is. Then think about the significance of your research and thesis study from two perspectives. 1. What is the general contribution of your research on your field, and 2. What specific contribution have you made to the knowledge and who does this benefit the most? For example, the gap in knowledge may be that the benefits of dumbbell exercises for patients recovering from a broken arm are not fully understood. You may have performed a study investigating the impact of dumbbell training in patients with fractures versus those that did not perform dumbbell exercises and shown there to be a benefit in their use. The broad significance of the study would be the improvement in the understanding of effective physiotherapy methods. Your specific contribution has been to show a significant improvement in the rate of recovery in patients with broken arms when performing certain dumbbell exercise routines. This statement should be no more than 500 words in length when written for a thesis. Within a research paper, the statement should be shorter and around 200 words at most. Significance of the study, an example. Building on the above hypothetical academic study, the following is an example of a full statement of the significance of the study for you to consider when writing your own. Keep in mind though that there's no single way of writing the perfect significance statement, and it may well depend on the subject area and the study content. A distal radius fracture of the wrist is the most common way in which a broken bone in the arm can occur. Previously, the role of dumbbell training in recovery has been poorly understood. This research project helps to improve the physiotherapy provided to wrist fracture patients during recovery. The findings of this study will directly benefit patients with fractures of the wrist in regaining muscle health and strength. The dumbbell exercises proposed may be incorporated by physiotherapists in the routines that they use with these patients, which can also be performed by the patients in their homes. Faster recovery with fewer complications will enable people that have suffered wrist fractures to regain normal function quicker and return to work sooner. For more information about our topic, please watch the video.
Significance of the study ba? Basic yan. Hi ka-schoolers! Hello ka-researchers! Kamusta? So this is Ma'am Ana. Kinukumpleto mo na ba ang chapter 1 mo? Well, kailangan mo ito, ang significance of the study. Pag-uusapan natin ngayon kung paano isusulat ang significance of the study. Ngayon, start tayo sa kung ano ba ito na part na to ng chapter 1. In a definition that I got from a research book, significance of the study is a part of chapter 1 that identifies the beneficiaries and the benefits they will give when the problem is solved. So in here, you will highlight how your research will contribute to the target group of people by specifically stating the importance to them the conduct of your research study. Now, what do we consider in writing the significance of the study? First, we should refer to the statement of the problem. In writing the significance of the study, always refer to the statement of the problem. This way, you can clearly define the contribution of your study. To simplify this, your research should answer this question. What are the benefits or advantages of the study based on the statement of the problem? Okay, so now let's proceed to the easy steps on how you are going to write your significance of the study. So, punta muna tayo sa format. May dalawang format ito, huwag kayong malilito ha. Actually, depende yan sa school mo or sa research advisor mo kung may preferred silang format. Now, yun yung susundin mo. Okay, so yung dalawang formats natin, una yung paragraph form at pangalawa yung enumerated form. So, ganito yung example natin dyan, no? So, kung mapapansin natin dito, ganyan lang siya, nakaayos lang siya ng pa-paragraph. So, nakastate dyan yung beneficiaries at yung benefits nila. So, dito naman sa format na ito, so kung mapapansin natin, may introductory sentence siya, tapos naka-enumerate yung mga beneficiaries or categories of people. Tapos, nakasunod na yung mga sentences stating nung benefits nila. Ngayon, punta tayo sa mga tips for you to write this part of your chapter 1. Okay, so first tip, binanggit ko na kanina, di ba, na meron tayong dalawang format na pwedeng gamitin sa pagsulat ng significance of the study. So, pili ka doon. Tapos, you decide ano namang style o method ng pagsulat ng significance of the study ang ilalapat mo dyan. So, meron tayong dalawang styles ng pagsulat. Una, yung tinatawag na hierarchical style. Pangalawa, yung according to importance style. So, in hierarchical style, this involves the enumeration of the beneficiaries depending on their position or authority. So, dito, aayusin mo yung list ng beneficiaries mo according sa position nila. Like, for example, you have teachers, students, DepEd officials. So, definitely, ang nasa unahan mo, DepEd officials, followed by teachers, and then students. Okay, so yung pangalawang style, according to importance. This enumerates the beneficiaries based from the most benefited to the least benefited. So, dito, if you will ask me, this is the one I prefer. Kasi this method enumerates the beneficiaries based dun sa halaga nila, no? So, nasa unahan yung pinakamakikinabang sa result ng study mo, pababa. So, this is according to the degree of significance to them. So, halimbawa na, ang talagang pinakamakikinabang sa result ng study mo ay ang mga estudyante. So, sila yung ilalagay mo sa pinakaunahan. Okay, second tip, which is very important. In writing your significance of the study, you should be specific. So, direct to the point, walang paligoy-ligoy yan at specific mong ibibigay kung ano ang magiging contribution ng study mo sa groups of people na tinukoy mo. And then third important reminder in writing your significance of the study, maigsi lang yan. Kasi nga, it is specific and direct to the point. So short and simple lang yan ha, hindi mahaba yan. Okay? Walang paligoy-ligoy. Baka naman mamaya maglagay ka pa ng citations dyan ha. Ayan, so okay na yan ha. Punta na tayo sa sample. Magpapakita ko ng actual sample ng significance of the study. So, ito yung title ng ating research study, Peer Tutoring, Its Effects on Reading Fluency of Senior High School Students. So, this is the introductory sentence. The researcher believes that this study will not only yield data that will be helpful to her, more so to the following groups of people. Okay, so first beneficiary, the learners. In particular, the grade 12 students would be equipped with how peer tutoring is done and as to how it works to improve reading fluency. Hence, students may aspire to be effective peer tutors in order for them to improve their reading fluency. On the other hand, the study would benefit those being tutored by improving their fluency in reading through peer-mediated instruction. So in this study, the learners or the students are the most benefited. So next, the teachers. The result of this study will offer teachers, particularly language teachers with empirical information on the effect of peer tutoring on reading fluency of the students. Thus, it will lead them to employ peer tutoring as an effective technique in reading, and this may also be utilized as an approach in handling the slow readers. Okay, so it is followed by the school reading coordinators. And then the last one, future researchers. So, ayan, ganyan lang ka-schoolers, di ba, ka-researchers? Simple lang, wala namang hiwaga ang pagsulat ng significance of the study. Okay, so there you have it. Thank you so much for being with me in this video. Please do not forget to subscribe and hit